Brent and let him give you an update on ERDA.
Thank you, Aaron, very much, and for accommodating our schedule this evening. My son's giving a speech at the Chisholm FFA banquet a little later this evening, so I appreciate her allowing us to go early in your meeting. And Mayor Shuey, council members, and City Manager Gerald Gilbert, thank you so much for letting us be here. I'll be as brief as humanly possible this evening, and if you have any questions, please let me know. It's so nice to get to talk to you guys just about general things, economic development in Enid, and not a specific project this evening. And so I am going to take advantage of that opportunity. I like to tell people, especially my mother, whenever she asks me what you do all day, I say that the economic development director is really a tour guide and a salesperson for the community of Enid. We do a lot of tour guide work, which happens a lot of times after an announcement is made. We're the tour guide that helps work with city staff. We work with ODEQ permits. We're working with the state of Oklahoma officials, national, federal officials as well. But we also get involved in the marketing side. And right now, what I really feel like, and this is just a general statement about the community of Enid, is whenever people across the state and across this region see this mark and our logo, the thought process right now is that great things are happening in Enid. Things are ginning in Enid. You guys don't always get to see that as city council members and even the city staff. It seems like you get to hear the complaints probably more than anything else, but I can tell you that the numbers bear out that things are going very well in Enid. You guys are welcome to have this graph. As you know, in our office, we're tracking numbers every day to make sure that trends are in the right direction. And on this particular map, we have gross retail sales for the last year, starting in January 2014, and the way we set records just about every month as we went throughout 2014. And then we also put on this graph the price of oil. This is West Texas Intermediate, which is basically how oil is marketed in our area. And you saw a steady decrease as it went down through the end of 2014. In this area right here in Enid, we had about 80 active rigs north of town. And today we're sitting at, I believe it's 27 active rigs that are in our particular play. And we were still pretty excited about the way sales taxes were going in Enid until we input February and March of this year. And even this number here in February, that's still higher than our February numbers were of 2014. So that was a good sign for us. March has stayed fairly consistent, but it is slightly lower than what we had for March last year. This is one of the indicators that we look at as to how the local economy is going. It doesn't necessarily mean that the amount of wealth has decreased here in the area. It means that people aren't spending as much as what they typically would. I will say that the downturn in the oil and gas industry has hit at exactly the right time. With the coke nitrogen plant under construction. Right now there's about 300 construction workers out there. They are hiring, at this point, about 40 people a week to go work out there. The offices are on the east side of Enid, and a lot of people are going out there. We also have the wind farm under construction right now, which is out in Rodney's neck of the woods. Out around Breckenridge, there's about 200 construction workers that are beginning to show up in that location, and that work will continue throughout the remainder of this year, and will continue to until everything is spinning at the end of this calendar year. Here are some of the macro figures. We submitted these to you with our budget request, but 2009 is whenever the city of Enid really started getting aggressive in the area of economic development. Since that time, we've seen a $273 million increase in sales. We've seen the unemployment rate drop. Actually, this last month's number, we're back up to about 3% right now. It's still lower than it used to be. Labor force has continued to grow. And just in the last couple of years, we've had $2.15 billion worth of construction projects announced. Here's what our partnership has done between the City of Enid and ERDA. Since 2009, you guys have invested $3.4 million in us. We have spent in this way about $1 million in retail sales, just under $1 million in industrial incentives, and then the rest of the $2.1 million, that's the technical assistance that we provide. That's the lion's share of how we spend our time. Right now, we have 42 companies in our sales force report that are active projects that we're working for the community. And probably about half of those are local companies that are in the process of expanding. The others are new companies that may be looking to locate or to get started here in the area. With your $3.4 million, we weren't just going to take the money and try to spend it as wisely as we could. We wanted to leverage that with additional funding. We've had $746,000 that we've been able to leverage against that. Today we have 55 members of our organization, which is a record high number of members. And then the big number is state and federal funds. We work very closely with our companies that are moving in or expanding to try to bring in federal incentive dollars, state incentive dollars. To date, in 2009, we've had $57 million worth of those incentive funds that we've been able to assist our companies to acquire. This past year, we had some ups and downs. The Highland Partners announcement, whenever the sale first happened, we began working with Kinder Morgan to find ways to keep Highland Partners here in town. It became obvious very quickly that was not going to be able to happen. Of course, StarTech's employment has continued to rise and fall. The nice thing about StarTech is the same week that they announced they were closing here in the last couple of weeks, Stratus Contact Solutions also announced they were coming and we're going to hire 150 people, which was more than what StarTech was laying off. So there's ebbs and flows in the economy. Of course, housing has been a big issue for us. Terra Estates is the new addition that's being constructed on Oakwood right now by Nancy Bell. A lot of the reason why he came to town is because we were able to do a housing study, quantify our needs in this community, and try to be proactive on getting more houses built here. Love's Travel Stop is now under construction on the east side of town at 42nd Street. They also have the Microtel under construction as well. Dirt's moving on both sides of the street, so we're glad to see that going. The FedEx Distribution Center is nearing completion. I will tell you, it's going to be a lot longer opening than what you think. They told us whenever they first started construction that the outside will go up very quickly. It just takes us a lot of time to get all the robotics and the technology on the inside just right. But that's a beautiful facility on the entrance to our town on the east. Pilot Plaza is open and running, and of course the two big ones that we've had this year are the Coke plant and the wind farm. And glad to see those continue to move forward. Here's our current board members. I'll tell you, we have a great board right now. Many of you on this commission are on that board, but they are very aggressive. Anytime we need to call on them, they're always willing to help us. Great folks there at being able to look at a deal and tell us whether it's good or bad and give us advice on it, a wealth of knowledge. But we're excited to partner once again. Our budget request for this year is the same as it has been the last couple of years at $600,000, and we welcome any questions that any of you might have.
Do you figure the Oklahoma courts on this next fiscal year we're kind of halfway through or 3/4 way through?
Yes. Aaron had mentioned that we have $1.5 million in this budget to finish up those purchases. And we also have the repayment from Hunt in this budget.
So that would cancel that. We figured in expense still on the next year.
Well, we've already incurred some of those expenses. I don't remember the exact amount. It's well over $1 million. And we're anticipating it's going to be about $3 million to accomplish all of it. So our estimate is we spent about $1.5 million, got $1.5 million to go.
Brent, what's the $3.2 million figure?
$3.2 million is what we're anticipating back on Hunt.
Okay. Because it's in budget.
Yes.
Brent, how much of that $600,000 goes to direct incentives? How much gets turned back around and is written out for checks?
It's about half and half. It's the way we work the budget. Half of it goes toward our technical assistance, which which we figured our salaries and office space is part of that, because that's where we do that meeting. But then also like a housing study and items like that come into the technical assistance, and then we try to provide the other half. Now, there are times whenever we get requests for funding where it's hard to figure out whether that's an incentive or whether that's technical assistance, and probably a great example of that is the housing study. I mean, really, that was market research we were able to do for housing developers, which was really an incentive for them lowering their costs to come in here. But yet, we put that under the technical assistance side. And we are updating their housing study this year.
I know you're housed out there with the business incubator. I don't know if you're involved with that or not, but how is that coming along?
Oh, the business incubator is a huge success here in Tampa. It's almost always full, rotating folks in and out. They've had a number of clients already graduate out of the program. It's a 3-year program. There's a great group of folks here in the community between bankers and accountants and attorneys that work with those tenants whenever they first move in and make sure they're prepared for their new business plan, that they're fully financed. And then they stay in there for 3 years, and then that's really where we begin working with them, is in that 3rd year as they rotate out of the incubator and into the downtown area or somewhere here in the community. We'll work with them on office space. And a lot of times they need another capital infusion at that point. We don't always provide that capital, but we might help them to locate where that capital might be.
They are aware that will be moving out after 3 years too.
Right, well, the way it works is you pay a very low rent the first year, the second year you pay a little higher rent, third year is almost market rate. If you were to stay a 4th year, it would be cost prohibitive to do it, so that's kind of the way that works.
I like what you've been doing with the speakers on a quarterly basis that we bring in out of town.
Well, one thing that we wanted to make sure is that we have an open communication with our membership and with our companies here in the community. We have a newsletter that I hope all of you get. It comes out once a month where we're highlighting stories. We have another partnership on advertising stories that we'll be announcing very, very soon to help get those stories outside of our city limits and more into the region. But the quarterly luncheons have been a great way for us to bring people in and tell them what's going on and give them the rah-rah speech. And hopefully we can have more people saying nice, good things are generated.
Other questions?
I applaud you for decreasing your request.
Yeah, that's
About
right.
3 other departments, I want to get right in line behind
That's
you.
right. Yeah, we had the additional 50,000 in for the water plant last year.
Are still adequately leveraged in terms of your incentive obligations on your books? We changed around last year, is that still working?
No, everything is great as far as the way that we handle incentives. Whenever we pass an incentive package, we encumber all of those funds, and so if you decided not to fund ERDA and all of our members ran away and nobody paid another dollar to ERDA, we could still pay all of our commitments to the companies we work with. I would suggest you quit funding ERDA. But you have.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Thank you.